Hi guys, I'm really excited. In this very special episode, I'm going to be having an exclusive chat with Tim Shaw and Fuzz Townshend of Car SOS to talk about their new series that's coming out on the 11th of March at 8 p.m. on the National Geographic Channel. This is series number 9 of Car SOS, and there's going to be 11 episodes. We're going to be talking about that and also stuff that they've done with the series, what it takes to put it together, how they've done it during the pandemic, all kinds of stuff, and a bit about them as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, there's 11 episodes of this, and it kicks off with a 50-minute special on 11th of March. It'll be about an MG Metro 6R4. They're going to be restoring that pretty much from a shell. That was a British rally winning car. Other cars they're going to be doing is a Volkswagen Beetle Wizard Hot Rod. That's interesting. Not familiar with that car. A 1980 Jaguar XJS. That's one of my favorite cars. I wonder if they're going to be doing it in white like the Saint car. And what they claim has been their most expensive and time-consuming restoration to date, a 1958 Batman Vauxhall Viva ice cream van. How extraordinary. But apparently there wasn't much left of it, so that'll be very interesting. And of course, with each of these restorations, there's always a heart-wrenching story to go with them. That's the stuff that really gets me there, and I'm sure it gets you there as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in this chat. Anyway, before we get into that, make sure that you're subscribing to youtube.com/browncarguy. Of course, also browncarguy.com, and follow me on all the social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even TikTok. On just search for hashtag browncarguy, and also you can support and sponsor me at patreon.com/browncarguy. Cool. Let's get into this.
You want. What have you got behind you? Is that a DB5? What is that? You've got the S1 Esprit.
So the S1 you've correctly recognized, and this is the Bullet Mustang.
Oh, there it is. 1967 then, or nine? Yeah, it's a 67.
Well, it was 68 really. I mean, it's 67. The film came out in 68, and I think they used a 68 model year for it. So 68 390 GT.
Yeah. Okay. Nice car.
You guys will be well aware of. Thank you so much
guy.
for. I know you have a Lotus as well. We might touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, 2 cars that I've got behind you actually. Mine's a 65, but 8 fastback.
Oh, right.
S3 turbo. But anyway, let's not talk about my cars. Let's talk about Car SOS, shall we?
Thank you very much for joining me. Much appreciated. And congratulations on your 9th series. And what is it? 8 years of doing the show?
Yeah, I mean, well, nine years of doing the show. It's been a real treat. We're certainly not running out of cars to do. We're not running out of stories. That there are so many cars, and so much love for the show. We just continue doing it and continue enjoying it.
That's amazing. Just to jump in with a very obvious question for anybody in the world that may not know what is Car SOS. There's a lot of car restoration TV shows out there. What makes Car SOS different?
It's a show with a heart. It's Car SOS is a show with a heart. This isn't about money. This isn't about doing a restoration and then selling the car at the end of it, because you always feel slightly shortchanged. If somebody who's grown up with car shows around me, I always feel slightly shortchanged with that stuff. Car SOS is, as I say, it's the sort of emotional, nostalgic connection that people have to these lumps of metal. And basically, what we do is we sneak the cars away without the owners knowing. They've been nominated by the family. Usually, they're for whatever reason incapable of doing the restoration themselves. We do them up to the best of our ability. Then we come up with an elaborate scheme to give them their car back. And then when they're least expecting it, Fuzz and I jump out and say, here's the car that unfortunately you couldn't restore, but here it is done. And that's what we do.
Yeah, we're just sort of putting people at the point at which they'd always hoped to be. But, life gets in the way quite often.
Indeed, it does. I'll tell you, one of the problems that I have with the show, and this is my one criticism, is that it's very embarrassing to watch, because I end up crying at the end of most of the episodes. How is it that you guys do that and not end up crying?
We do.
That shows that you're a human. So, but for us, we are so involved with talking to the families and and helping their time to go well. That, you know, so yeah, there are tearful moments, but normally when we actually watch the show back, that's when it gets us. You know, I was watching a rough cut of the Ice Cream Van show yesterday, and I have to admit I was welling up. So, but I wasn't at the time. But it's when it's all put together, and when you see everything that's going on, because when you're there, you're just focusing on one, maybe two faces, and that's when it really hits home.
Shazad, the other thing as well is, mate, that you know what, if you were part of the team and you were doing this with us, you'd realise, being honest, there's no time for tears, because we're against the clock in many of the cases. We want to get the cars back to, not for fear of necessarily losing the person who owns the car, but you know, these are petrol heads whose cars we've got, and we want to get the cars back to them. So, because every day that the car's sitting in the garage as a wreck is one day less that you can drive it in your life. So, you know, we hear the stories, we're aware of the importance and the sad things that have happened to these people, but it just bolsters our drive. It just makes us want to pull our fingers out and get these damn cars turned around with as much love and care and attention, and get them back to their deserving owners as quickly and as well as we possibly can. So for Fuzz and I, we just look at each other, and there's a lot said between just these sort of stares we have when we're in the car on the way back of like right, fingers out, let's get this car done. Let's not, and I'm the one of the two of us, because I'm the one doing the interviews with the people at the beginning. I'm the one that often ends up, you know, far more emotionally attached to it, whereas Fuzz does the right thing of saying, look, Tim, shut up. I've got to see this thing as a piece of metal. I've got to just get this car started. Let's get it back. Yeah. Disconnect yourself from it. The amount of times that Fuzz has lectured me and said, Tim, disconnect. It's a car. Let's just get it done. It's what we do. So between the two of us, we have these systems that sort of work, you know, and that's how we manage it.
Yeah. So sorry, so I was just going to say, it's very touching stories on the show. One of your key premises that you have is that you keep the thing a secret until the end. How difficult is that? I mean, have you always been able to keep it a secret? Has it always worked, or?
We have, although there have been once or twice there have been some close calls. I remember a few series ago we did a Fiat Dino, and a couple of days before the reveal of the car, the guy whose car it was having a family dinner, all the family around. And his nephew came running into the dining room, saying, "Where's the Dino gone? The Dino's not there in the garage." And everybody else is looking at this young lad going, "Shh." And so the guy thought, that's a bit odd, and they were saying, "No, we've moved everything around in the garage. It's just right behind right down at the back there. So you know that's where it is now." So you know, so we've had close calls like that, but it's like one of those things. Do you tell everybody in the family, or is it better to tell as few people as possible?
You know what? The other thing as well is we've been lucky with having done this many of them to learn a way to make it work. You learn enough about human beings and sort of levels they'll go to just, you know, to look into such things. So we've learned precisely how far we have to go to be able to get away with it. We've tried some tricks before, covering, you know, transplanting another car that somebody else owns into their garage and putting sheets over it. We've done that sort of stuff, but we've realized there are better ways of doing it. And the longer we've been around, the better we've become. We've sort of honed our sort of espionage skills there. So we've actually gotten pretty good at doing what we do. And I think that's just down to the fact that we've had the experience to do 90 cars.
And ultimately, it's people's families are arranging the subterfuge. So, you know, if it fails, it would normally fail at that point, you know, where the family get involved. So we've been very lucky in that people believe their families, and they're not doing okay. So we're making people lie to their loved ones, but it's for a good cause.
And let me just say something as well, Shazad. The other thing as well is, if you have a classic car and it was your lifelong project to do this car, and for whatever medical reason or whatever, you know, sort of hand that the life has thrown you, a lot of the time it's out of sight, out of mind. So we take advantage of the fact that a lot of people have got these cars stored elsewhere or in their garage or with a friend or something like that, and they physically don't want to see it because it's a reminder of what they failed at.
Interesting.
So that works to our advantage.
And that actually touches upon something quite interesting. And you say that, you've learned a lot about people in the course of making these shows. What is it that has this kind of bond and this connection to that automobile, whether it's out of sight or whether, it's something that's, nagging at them? What is special about cars that creates this kind of emotional bond?
I think people, if it's a car that has been in the family for a long time, then it will feature in the back of photographs, family snaps, holiday snaps, all that kind of thing. It will be the vehicle that transported maybe transported a wife to hospital for, and the first baby was brought home in that car, or and then that baby grew up with that car being part of their lives, and so that these they may seem to be inanimate objects, but actually they permeate people's family lives, and they mean more than just transport.
But the other thing as well is to mention that when you're younger, when you're 15 or 16, you don't dream of having a house. You don't dream of, I can't wait till I've got because that's not tangible, that's not realistic. So for young lads and young girls out there, you fall in love with cars at young age because it's a couple of years off that first thing of becoming a man or a woman and getting your driving license and getting out there. So it's actually, cars are something which is such a big part of people's lives from a very young age. Personally speaking, I fell in love with cars at a very young age, and I started restoring a car before I could even drive because I couldn't wait for the drive. I'd have my independence. And I think cars signified that a lot. And the other thing as well is restoring a car. I think it's an achievable project for most people. Lockdown has proven that, because the sort of sale of these projects and parts for these cars that people have got stowed away in their garages have absolutely gone through the roof. Some of the parts suppliers that we've been dealing with have never been so successful in their, I was speaking to a company the other day that said they've never been busier in 25 years than they have been now. So I think we're a nation of tinkerers and a nation of people that like projects as well.
Yeah, the other thing is that cars are like clothes in a way, because, you pick a certain style of car because it looks cool, it's great, you feel good next to it, you feel good in it, kind of thing. And you would, in the same way that you would pick a jacket, maybe. And cars can be an extension of one's personality, as well as as well as transport, as well as nostalgia. It's a whole heap of stuff.
Cars give back, don't they?
You've touched on the first of all, you actually mentioned the time scale. You need to get these things done quickly, and you've also touched on the logistics of getting parts and stuff. So, in the magic of television, obviously, we see that in the course of an episode, a car goes from whatever condition it is to beautiful. But what's the reality of it? How actually do you go about putting these cars back together again? Okay, is it really all you doing the work, Fuzz?
Each car. Well, if it was just me, I'd need to clone myself. So we have a team of around about, there's normally 8 of us in the workshop, working in my workshop. But then you've got to take into account the other outside engineering and sort of specialists that we use, such as trimmers or machine shops for
engine builders.
Sorry,
engine builders as well.
Yeah. So all of those kinds of things. So in the workshop, we normally spend between 800 and 1,400 hours on each car.
Wow.
That's so that's working hours on each car, and then add to that the other services. So really, you're talking generally a minimum of around 1,200 hours per car, and maybe up to about 2,000 hours. So it's a lot of time. It's compressed into a short period of time, a short turnaround time. We do 10 cars in just over 30 weeks, 33 weeks it normally is. So bookend them, and you won't be able to do them. But so we have to overlap them, and that's why you see sometimes in Car SOS you'll see another car from that series in the background while we're working or making the show about one particular car. So, but we've got a real sort of system now. We've got a production line almost. We know how to take them apart. We know how to bag and tag them. We know generally what we're going to be facing with no matter what car it is, We've got a system that works all the way through. It runs smoothly, and then it's just a matter of building them back up and getting them back to the owners.
But the other thing that's worth mentioning, Shazaz, is that we are recommissioning cars. You know, the cars that we're doing are not show-winning cars, and we would never profess them to be, although we have the ability and quality levels to do such a thing. You have to remember that a lot of these people who've got these cars have got them because they wanted the project in the first place. And if you ask me why I restore cars personally, in terms of my own cars, you know, 80% of it is about the project, 20% of it's driving it. So the good thing about Car SOS is we do the sort of the heavy lifting in terms of, you know, the stuff you couldn't do at home. But then a lot of the little sort of fiddly jobs and bits and bobs, we leave some of that stuff for owners to have, because, as I said, that's the stuff they can do, and that's why they had the project in the first place. So we've got a bit of a golden ticket there in that sense, because we're doing cars up for petrol heads. That's what they wanted.
That makes a lot of sense, and actually you answered my next question there. But are you still currently filming the next series, or is it all done? So what's it been like filming during this pandemic?
Yeah,
Good question.
We have filmed since around about July, so we've been ongoing. So the first lockdown ended pretty much in July, so we got going then. But we've kept going since then, because we've put into practice, you know, safe working practices. Obviously, we have to socially distance when we're filming. It has made it more difficult at times, but you know, we've managed to do it pretty well. And you know, I for one will be pretty sad to have to go back to being anywhere closer than 2 meters to Tim Shaw. But you know, that's one of the downfalls. I'll take that on the chin, really.
I can see that you're socially distanced right now, very much so.
It's brilliant. It's amazing. I love it.
But hasn't that caused problems, particularly with the reveal, with the families and stuff?
It means
and some people being ill.
You know what? The thing is,
we can't really get
when we started filming this show, when we started filming Car SOS, we were all a little bit nervous as a team, because, you know, this was at a time when we didn't really know the full extent of COVID, and, you know, how transmissible it was, and this, that, and the other. And, you know, we were wearing masks all the time. It's a bizarre thing to film a television show and have a great time on camera, as a lot, you know, mess around in the workshop and mess around driving around a track once we'd had our testing done and what have you. It's a bizarre thing to do that. So in terms of, as presenters, it was quite a leap. Whereas normally Fuzz and I would just be taking the piss out of each other and having a laugh, and then cameras start rolling, and whatever we do is real. It's just an extension of day-to-day life. You know, for us, this was slightly different, because we wanted to deliver a product here. And this was the thing about National Geographic, which I've got a lot of respect for. They wanted us to deliver a show that wasn't contaminated with COVID. They didn't want us wearing masks and talking about it, because our show is a bit of escapism. And that was the brief that was set to us. And thank God they did, because that's been the challenge. And that's the bit that we're so proud of, the fact that we've achieved, because we've got, I think the way people watch Car SOS, it's a family show. People watch it, and you're going to be left, you'll go on an emotional journey, but you'll be left with a smile on your face, feeling warm and happy about life. And that's what we want to do. We wanted to make sure people could escape the reality of COVID. But for us filming it, it's been tricky, but I think we've achieved it.
Yeah, and, I've got Safety Tim here anyway, so I can use him whenever I need to get close. You know, get in there and have a look. Yeah.
So that's how it's done. That's the magic of television, right there. So where are you, Fuzz?
Right there. And I'll tell you what, it's great working with this guy.
Can I ask, where are you, Fuzz? What are you sitting in?
I'm sitting outside my house in my 1929 Austin 12.4 Burnham saloon.
Wow.
with its lovely plush, if slightly moth-eaten leather rear seat. So I've got young children in the house, so there's absolutely no way that they'd let me get away with talking quietly to people. So this was the best option.
Tim, may I ask? We touched earlier that I am a Lotus Esprit fan. I saw your Esprit was featured in the last series, but the last we saw of it was that it kind of stopped working. But you never
actually broke down, didn't it? Yeah, I remember it broke down.
What happened to it?
Yeah, it packed. I mean, basically, here's the irony of it: it ran out of fuel.
Oh.
No, hold on. It didn't run out of fuel. What it had was a little cut-off switch in the.
There was that as well. That was prior
in the offside rear. So it had a little cut-off switch, and he didn't know about it. and this thing was activated. So once it had spent the fuel in its pipe work, that was it. And who found the switch?
Yeah, actually, Fuzz is completely wrong there. We found the switch before we started filming with it, and we couldn't get it running at all. So we were there with it for an hour, and I was like, "Oh my god, I bought my own car here to film Car SOS." We couldn't get it started at all, and then we discovered Fuzz found this cutoff switch in the back, so we pressed that and got it running. We were both celebrating, driving it around, and because we've been spending so long trying to get it work, it pissed all the fuel out of the back of it. So it ran for about 3 minutes and then ran out of fuel. That's actually what happened. So yeah, it was a bit of a sad thing because I'd completely rebuilt that car, and it was supposed to be, running well and a good little runner. But nope, it wasn't to be on that day. And Fuzz, I can still.
And there you are. There you are.
Still see your face.
Tim had rebuilt that, except for he must have missed that bit out. So what else was missed out on that car?
That's what I think. Interesting. I can certainly see from that. You never know, anything might happen. There's certainly challenges to what you do. I mean, what has been maybe the most challenging episode or project that you've done?
We've done a lot of cars that have been challenging. I mean, for all kinds of reasons. But when it comes to actually the physicality of the cars, I think we've kind of got it nailed. We know what we're doing. We know where to go if we need specialist help with things like scanning and machining.
The ice cream van, Fuzz. The ice cream van. The ice cream van was by far the toughest vehicle. This series.
I wanted to ask you about that because in the notes that I've been sent, it says that was possibly the most complex and expensive restoration that you've done. But it's an ice cream van.
Yeah, that's right. Well, if you take into account that we had to strap the front axle to the rear axle when we extracted it from where it had been sitting for a decade or more, simply because if we'd have just pulled it at the front, the back end would have stayed where it was.
I mean, Shazad, if you were to look into your garden and say, "Look at my ice cream van," that's pretty much what we picked up. There was nothing there. I mean, it literally was pretty much nothing there when we picked it up. We have made an ice cream van out of nothing because it was one of those vehicles that nobody bothered restoring because they were a fairly worthless van, not something that car restorers around the world have gone, "Oh, they're priceless, let's hang on to those." So it literally was a case of making everything for it. And I think when you watch the episode, it'll blow your mind at what's possible with the guys we've got in the workshop.
Yeah, it's a real shame that we couldn't show everything that was done to that because so just the thing was glowing because it had so much new metal welded into it. And we're not talking about buying panels where the guys had to make panels for it and make them so they look factory. So it was a very, very big, tough job. Making things like A-posts, floor pans, things down the bulkhead, very intricate, multiple curved items, which had to look right and they had to function as well. So, but those are the skills that the team has.
An interesting question arises from that is that do you get a chance to assess these vehicles before you start say, yes, okay, let's do this project or let's do this story, or do you come at it cold?
Most of the time, yeah. I mean, most of the time I do get to assess them. The ice cream van, I'll have to admit that within the remit that I have to work to, I had to say no because I knew how much work it was going to take to do it. But the story was so strong, so compelling, that the production company and National Geographic said, well, we want to do this. So thanks very much for telling us that it's going to be a massive project, but we want to take this on. And good on them for doing that, because I don't think there are many TV channels that would stick their necks out and take on such huge projects as that. Really, it was worthy of its own series, that ice cream van. But we did it in one show.
But that's what we're about. You see, that's what Car SOS was. It's about what we talked about earlier, the emotional attachment. It's not about the value. That's what I love about the show over other shows out there. We don't care what the cars sell for. They're not for sale at the end. It's about the smile on people's faces And if you wanted to put it into monetary terms, we spent tens and tens and tens of thousands, not that far off, six figures on this ice cream van, a van that if you were to sell it would probably be worth 10 or 15 grand. But it's not about that. It's about the day. It's about the life. It's about whose vehicle this is and their emotional attachment to it. So it was a wonderful experience doing that for the family, a family who had dedicated 60 years to selling ice cream vans, selling ice creams around Greater Manchester. So a lovely group of people.
Yeah, that thing would never have been put back together otherwise, because it was beyond most people's sort of will and skill as well. So and it's amazing to be able to do that for people and to leave them with something so tangible that they can enjoy for years and years to come, because we know that will be a family heirloom. To that family, that thing is priceless.
It's amazing to hear you talk about the amount of work and effort that goes into the cars, and obviously we don't see all of that. It's almost worth thinking that maybe there's room for a director's cut or a longer edition just for people like us.
I think so.
We could watch.
That's right. There is the online version. So there's workshop uncuts on that are available on YouTube.
There should be a Car SOS XL. There should be a longer. There should be a sort of a 2-hour version, or on some of the episodes where there is a lot of footage. A lot of stuff hits the cutting room floor, as with all television. But we could definitely do a 90-minute episode per episode, without a doubt. There's enough footage. Honestly.
I know you've done a couple. I know time must be short, so it's for last question for me. I know you've done a couple of episodes, I think, where you've been in another country or you've gone across to Europe and stuff. Are there any plans in the future to do more international episodes or going to other countries and stuff?
Well, we would love to. I mean, obviously, at the moment, that's impossible. Yeah. But we're hoping that we get to do some cars in different parts of the world. We're not looking to sort of do some sort of massive relocation. But it would be great to do a few different cars from different parts of the world, and with different backgrounds to them as well. So it'd be great to see how petrol heads are connected with their cars, the world over as well.
Car SOS World Tour. We could even start with European Tour and then move on to the world a year later.
That would be brilliant. I mean, Car SOS goes out in so many countries.
Yeah,
it would be potentially possible to get the cars, get people to nominate people from all over the world. So yeah, we'd love to do it.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please hit the like button and try to leave a comment. That would be awesome. Make sure that you're subscribing, of course. That's to youtube.com/browncarguy, and hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any of my videos. Whilst you're at it, also follow my blog, browncarguy.com. And of course, follow me on social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even TikTok. Just search for my hashtag, of course, #browncarguy. Hey, if you enjoy my content, then you know what? You could sponsor it, and you can do that at patreon.com/browncarguy and join these wonderful people scrolling up on the screen right now. Your name could also be here, along with Muhammad Ali Humaid, Partha Srinivasan, Tom Conway Gordon, Isaac Beauchard, Raza Adil, Muhammad Qasim, Siraj Abbasi, and of course Mark Waddell. Go to patreon.com/browncarguy. It's from as little as £2, $2 a month. Price of a coffee. Hey guys, buy me a coffee. Why not? If you enjoy my content. If you can't do that, make sure you're continuing to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.